pod bay doors.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of The Cinematic Traveler. I am your intrepid movie exploring host, Chris, and on this episode, we are going to travel back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe as I review the highly anticipated film Thunderbolts, directed by Jake Schreier and starring Florence Pugh. Oh, you do know how much I love these Marvel movies. Oh, Martin Scorsese, save me from this. But this should be a fun review. I can't wait to talk about this film. Before I do, let me ask you, how are you doing, my beloved listener, watcher, whatever the case may be? I hope you're doing well out there. If you could do me a favor, if you could hit the subscribe and follow button, I would appreciate that. It does help me and the show, but it also helps you. You won't miss any of my future episodes, and you can go back and listen to my previous amazing reviews and hear my sexy, sexy voice. And on some of them, you can see my sexy, sexy face, worthy of being in a Marvel movie, damn it. So there, I got through that quick, fast, and in a hurry so we could talk about this film. Oh, I know how you are on the edge of your seat to find out what I have to say about it. Now, before I do have to over-explain just a couple of things real quick. I am going to give you a spoiler-free review as well as a spoiler-free plot synopsis. Now, in that plot synopsis, I have hidden a movie quote from another film that either runs parallel or shares some DNA with this film. If you can identify that quote and reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram at Cinematic Traveler Pod. I do have an email address, thecinematictravelerpod@gmail.com. It's very important to get that pod in there. Or you can leave it in the comments on YouTube or the comments on whatever podcast you listen to. I'll find it. I will find your answer. You get a point for each one that you get right. At the end of the month, I add up all the points, and whoever wins gets to pick a movie for me to review next. But how exciting is that for you to be a part of the show? Not only a part of it, but in control of an episode. You don't get that on any other podcast, or maybe you do. I don't know. But anyway, play along. I know it seems a little uncool, but that's the best time of the week, and that is to be uncool with Chris. Now let's go ahead and talk about Thunderbolts.
Yeah, it's going to be fun on the bun.
As I mentioned, this is directed by Jake Schreier. I think that's how you say his last name. He's done a lot of TV work, but he did do a film many years ago that I enjoyed called Robot and Frank. Very small little fun movie. If you ever want to check that out, it's about aging and stuff like that. But it was a good little movie. I don't know how he ended up on Thunderbolts, but here he is. So we open the movie with Yelena, played by Florence Pugh, a former Black Widow, now doing mercenary work where she is depressed by the monotony, the loneliness, and pointlessness of her job. Welcome to the club. After another routine mission, she visits her dad, Alexei, the former Red Guardian, played by David Harbour, and co-starring in the film with Florence Pugh, and tells him she is ready to give up the mercenary life. After a pep talk from her dad, Yelena calls her boss, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, played by the always amazing Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and co-star in the film with Florence Pugh. But Yelena tells her that she is ready for her next assignment. Yelena is sent to a hidden base where she is to stop a thief from stealing the important information inside of this base. Well, it turns out this thief is Ghost. Remember her? Because I really didn't. But Ghost has been sent to stop Taskmaster. Do you remember her? I certainly don't either. But they are in this movie co-starring with Florence Pugh. And very quickly, the trio of women is joined by John Walker, former Captain America and now U.S. agent, and Bob, a seemingly harmless dude that may be more than he seems to be. Now, those two are played by Nepo babies Wyatt Russell and Lewis Pullman, who are also, you guessed it, co-stars with Florence Pugh. Now, as identities are revealed and double crosses are exposed, our team of unlikely heroes are forced to work together to stop a new villain from destroying New York. This new threat does seem unstoppable, but Yelena tells him something like, "I can do this all day." Hint, hint. And I will take any movie that line is from. I'm making it super easy for you this week. Now, will our ragtag team be able to stop this invincible villain, or will the villain begin the end game that will spell doomsday for Earth's newest heroes? Well, I'm not going to answer those questions and spoil this movie for you, but I will give you the best review for Thunderbolts in all of the podcaster YouTuber universe, nay, in all of the universe. So, to be fully transparent with you, as I always am, most of my usual listeners know where I stand on Marvel movies at this point. I used to love them, but they really have declined in quality, so I wasn't really excited to go see this movie. Also, there are characters in this movie either I have forgotten that were in other movies, or I just didn't watch the shows that they were in. So I thought maybe I would be a little bit lost in the film. And these are comic book characters that I would say are at a level that I never really reached in my comic book reading. I'm more of a surface level, maybe the big name comic book hero comics. That's kind of what I read. A lot of Batman, some Spider-Man, some Superman here and there. So a lot of these characters I don't know much about. And really, if I had never seen any of these other movies or whatnot, I wouldn't know probably any of these other characters except maybe Captain America or US Agent, because I knew of that character. I don't know much about him other than he used to be Captain America, then he became US Agent. So I say all of that just to kind of let you know where I was at as I proceeded into the movie theater to watch this film. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives of Thunderbolts.
Sounds pleasant.
But we will start with the cast. I will say most of them. There are a couple I will get to later. They do a very good job. They're likable anti-heroes in this film. They've kind of got that, I guess it would be Guardians of the Galaxy, or really the early Avengers, the first Avengers movie, where they're kind of bickering back and forth. They sort of have that throughout the movie. And you can see sort of this bond grow with them. Florence Pugh, I mean, she's a talented actress to begin with. I know this isn't up to her caliber of what she can do, and she could do this role in her sleep, but she handles it very well. She's likable. I got to give her credit. I don't know if you've seen this, but she actually does the stunt, I guess, at the beginning of the movie where she jumps off the second tallest building in the world. That was really her. I know I've seen where she stepped off of the building and they have her like on a harness and stuff. But I don't know. I guess she did the whole thing all the way to the ground, but that was very impressive. You would have never got me up to the top of that building. So kudos, Florence. You're just making me love you a little bit more. But she's really good in this role. She can handle the action parts. She also does well with the comedy bits with her other co-stars we'll get into in a second. But she also brings some emotion to the film when there are those elements. There's some stuff with her and the Red Guardian, Alexei. You know, they have their moments, and there's some stuff with the villain that she has a connection to towards the end of the film. I don't really want to give things away here. I'm trying my hardest. But yeah, she can do the dramatic, emotional moments as well. Yeah, I mean, come on, it's Florence Pugh. She can handle this shit. This is nothing for her. David Harbour, he is once again the same character from Black Widow that we got with the Red Guardian, Alexei. He's the comic relief, gets to be the butt of some jokes, but also has those emotional moments with Elena, and also gets to be a hero and do these things that he is aspiring to be, because he's kind of this forgotten character at the beginning of the movie, and he really just wants to be a part of a superhero team or make a difference. And, you know, as the film goes along, of course, it's by the numbers, so you know he's going to get his moments to shine. And I think, again, he brings the comedy. David Harbour can do this, but I think both of these main characters, they know this role perfectly, so they don't have to really put that much effort into it, but they do a good job of being likable. And that's really one of the best things in this movie, is a lot of these characters are likable and you are rooting for them. I would say Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she is channeling her inner Selena Meyer from Veep. If you never saw her in Veep, oh my God, do yourself a favor, go watch that series. It's amazing. She is brilliant in that series. But she's walking that line with this character where she's, you know, she's evil or the bad guy, maybe a villainish type character, but she also is kind of the one leading everything. So it's a weird balance that she has to be ruthless at times, and she, you know, gets put in positions where she has to get saved by the team. So again, Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I know I'm going to say this a lot for these main characters. I mean, come on, Seinfeld, Veep. I mean, geez, this is a Marvel movie. But she is a fun character. I think another actor that continues to surprise me, I think he was in a movie not too long ago I talked about, Lewis Pullman, the son of Bill Pullman. He's just a good actor. Here he has kind of a lot to really work with. Again, I don't want to give things away, but he starts out as sort of this meek, average kind of dude. He's not really, he's sort of the butt of the joke at the beginning of the movie because he's so just average amongst these, mercenaries and these heroes and stuff. But then there's another side to him. Oh God, how can I say this? Which you probably know what that is, but he's kind of got a darker side. How about that? And when that gets explored, the direction that his character goes in, it sort of makes sense from his point of view. And then you get to also deep dive into his history. So there's more to him there. He gets to play almost two versions of a character. And again, I just think this guy is a really talented actor, and everything he shows up in, he is really good. Another of the main characters that I liked is Wyatt Russell, of course, son of the great, the legendary Kurt Russell. He is continuing from the, was it Captain America Winter Soldier or Falcon Winter Soldier TV series? I remember him, he was in that in the beginning. I only watched like maybe 2-3 episodes of that, and I kind of gave up on it. So I remember him being in that show. But here he is that sort of, I guess, disgraced Captain America that's been turned into the U.S. agent. He's arrogant. He's an asshole, pretty much. They call him that several times throughout the movies, but he has a character arc, a journey. He starts out, again, being an asshole. They're bickering with him a lot. He's sort of the butt of the joke at times. But by the end of the movie, much like Red Guardian, he has his heroic moments and he becomes part of this, an integral part of this team. And I really like how it all formed together at the end. And I think those characters and those actors really held your interest. Again, made the characters likable that I wanted to watch, that I wanted to see what was going to happen at the end. The only other actor I really want to talk about is Sebastian Stan, coming in as Bucky Barnes. And I'll just say, I mean, come on. You don't want me to say it again, but yeah, it's Bucky Barnes. It's always good to see Bucky Barnes show up at things. Sebastian Stan, he knows that role inside and out. So it was really cool to see him in these movies. I guess we'll move into the next positive of the film. Kind of has to do with the direction and the general overview of the film, with director Jake Schreier. Like I said, I think that's how you say his name. I think he's made a fun little action movie here. I was surprised. Again, I went in this with very, very low expectations, and I was pleasantly surprised that the characters were likable, that I wanted to see where they were going, and also that it was, we'll get into some pacing issues in a little bit, but for the most part, it kind of hits the beats it needs to hit. You got your emotional moments, and then you got your action set pieces where you get to see our heroes and everybody gets their moment to shine. You get to see what their skill sets are and how they can play off of each other and the cool things they can do. There's some really good stuff with them working together as the movie goes along. I think it was really nice how, again, I mentioned this earlier, how they progress from the bickering team to, a unified fighting force by the end of this movie, much like the first Avengers movie. I don't think this is some amazing looking film, but it does what it needs to do and it's enjoyable. There's some practical stunts in this movie. Like I said, Florence Pugh jumps off that building. There's some car crashes. They flip cars like Christopher Nolan did with that semi truck in The Dark Knight. So it was nice to watch that stuff. It's also very small action pieces, not these big over the top CGI fests. There's a lot of hand to hand combat and these superheroes fighting mostly equal competition until they have to fight the main bad guy. And then that takes a turn into something that I appreciated. It wasn't the big, we have to stop the laser or stop the alien. It's more of a small contained ending to the film that they have to handle, where they got to use their minds a little more than their brawn. So yeah, I like all of that and how it would work together. Now, this is a Marvel movie, so you're going to get the MCU comedy. I think most of it works for me. There's some bits here and there where it kind of lands flat. But for the most part, I had some good laugh out loud moments. David Harbour steals a lot of those. But, I think, again, they all have the right attitude and playfulness with each other to where those comedic moments actually do work. I will give this movie credit for things other Marvel movies don't do. When there is an emotional moment in this movie, they actually let it be an emotional moment and have a payoff at the end and not be filled with quips or other things. There's a couple times where it gets a little quippy, but for the most part, I do like that the emotional beats were allowed to be emotional. There's some stuff between Yelena and Alexei that, yeah, man, I'm not going to lie to you. I got a little misty eyed. I'm not ashamed to say it. Now, while I sound so positive of this film, there are a few things that didn't work. So let's talk about the negatives in Thunderbolts.
Uh-oh, I don't like the sound of that.
As I mentioned, there are a couple of cast members that really didn't do anything for me. Ghost, I honestly don't remember anything about that character from. I have no memory of watching Ant-Man and Wasp. I guess that was the second one, right? I know I saw it. I think I went to the movie theater with my daughter to see it. I have no memory of what happened in that movie. I was not intoxicated, I promise. I was not impaired in any type of way. Maybe I'm just getting too old and that information just ejected out of the side of my head. But yeah, I don't remember anything about her character. She's in this movie, and that's really all that she is. She's in the movie. She does nothing remarkable to make me go, oh yeah, she was amazing. But she's there. And Taskmaster kind of falls into that same thing. She's there. For a little bit. Oh no, I didn't mean to spoil that. But yeah, those two characters were kind of pointless to me. I don't know why they were in there or why they didn't pick maybe different heroes to stick in this group. Maybe a newer hero. I know they have Sentry, who is a newer hero in this film, but yeah, it would have been cool to see someone different other than those because they made zero impression to me on the film. At the end, I was like, oh yeah, Ghost, yeah, there, she's part of the team. I forgot about that. The movie does suffer a little bit from some dumber moments, a lot of conveniences in this film, coincidences. There's points where characters show up to help other characters where I'm like, oh, how would that person even know where they were at that moment in the movie? And yet there they are. And I wish, you could add a little dialogue in there and been like, oh, I tracked your cell phone or something like that. But there wasn't. It was just like, oh, there they are. So that gets a little annoying from time to time. Also, there's this really stupid. Oh my God. I felt bad because it was kind of a cool lead up to it where they're in this base or whatever, which kind of like a Saw moment because it turned into this trap, which I thought would have been cool. That'd be a really cool superhero movie if it was like setting in a Saw type of thing where these superheroes have to get out of whatever. Anyway, I'm on a tangent there. But yeah, they're in this thing and all of a sudden the incinerator is going to fire up and kill them all. Not to give anything away, but so this is done remotely from a different location by a character. However, inside the room that they're in is a countdown clock, a 2-minute countdown. I'm like, why would you put that clock in there if you're going to do this little trap on them? Also, there's some equipment in there that they need to stop everything. It was just like, okay, who designed this? This is kind of dumb. Also, I'm not going to spoil this. There is a kill switch that is introduced into the movie for a character that really isn't explained. It's just sort of, like I said, it's a convenience because we needed to have a way to handle this. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. So yeah, it does rely on some dumb, stupid coincidences and conveniences, and it does drag a bit. It's a little over 2 hours. It's not too bad. I think it paced pretty well as far as when the action hits. It's at a time where you really need it to. However, you have some quiet moments, some downtime where, especially I would say the first half of the movie, as these other characters are introduced into the film, where you have the other characters telling them what we've already done in the movie. So you get like 2 or 3 scenes where they're explaining everything to catch everything up and get some kind of crappy jokes here and there on that. But, it kind of bogs the movie down because you're like, okay, yeah, I've seen that. Let's just keep moving. We don't have to stop like this. And, just here and there, there's some draggy moments. But again, not too bad. But I will warn you, like I said, especially with the whole repeating of the plot 3 or 4 times at the beginning of the movie, I was like, okay, God damn, we can figure that even a kid can understand what the hell's going on here. So let's move along. And my only other negative, this one actually falls back on Black Widow, and this isn't a major, I hate the movie because of this. It's just a little, almost like a nitpick. And I never understood it in the Black Widow movie, but I don't understand why Alexei, especially Alexei, has this Russian accent other than to prove that he's Russian. But at the beginning of Black Widow, he is this spy living in America, having this family in America. They all speak English. They don't have accents or anything. And all of a sudden they speak their English with the thick Russian accent. I need the vodka. Bring me the vodka. It's kind of silly and goofy. I was like, you know what? Just let the actors use an American accent or a regular accent. We know they're from Russia. You didn't do it with Scarlett Johansson. She didn't speak with some stupid Russian accent. So that kind of got, I don't want to say annoying, but as I was watching the movie, I was like, that's just a goofy thing to do. But like I said, that's a nitpick. But overall, and there is something, shit, I should have said this already, but there's something I want to talk about, but I'm going to wait till after my final verdict because it's a little side tangent on some things. But anyway, overall, I enjoyed this movie. Yes, it has its weaknesses. I'm not going to argue with you. If someone wants to message me or talk to me and be like, oh, it was done because of this or that, I probably would be like, yeah, you're probably right with that. But I think this is the type of movie that falls into that category where it's having enough fun, you have enough likable characters, and it moves along at a pace where you're not getting that bored. Every now and then you're just like, okay, let's move along. But other than that, you're getting your action set pieces when you need them. And I think it's carried along by a very talented, at least upper part of the cast here. So, it was just a fun, enjoyable ride. I don't think this is the best Marvel movie that ever was. I don't think it's the worst one. This is maybe slightly above average. I don't know where to put that in the list of what are like 30 some films at this point. But I went in with no or low expectations, and as I left the movie theater, that was a fun little ride. It was just a fun summer movie to enjoy. So yeah, go check it out. If you're a Marvel fan, of course you're gonna go check it out. Hell, it even got me to stay through one of the post-credit scenes. I didn't stay for the other one. It got one. That's the first post-credit scene I've watched in a very long time with these Marvel movies. Usually I'm out the door as soon as these credits hit. So yeah, there's a bonus for this film right there. So yeah, go check it out. If you don't know the Marvel, I know these characters are on different shows and stuff, but you learn enough about them in the movie that you don't really need to watch all that other shit to know what the hell's going on. So yeah, go check it out. It's a fun little flick, a fun summer movie. Enjoy. And it does lead into something bigger that I don't know exactly what they're going to do with. So I'm a little curious, a little hesitant to get excited about that, but it does lead into something. And there's a cool moment. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. So yeah, ultimately, I would tell you to go watch Thunderbolts in the movie theater and enjoy it. I mean, it's starting to heat up. You can go sit in the air conditioning with big popcorn, big Coke, have a good time. So I did mention I want to say something, and this isn't me being controversial or anything, but there is a group of especially YouTubers out there that, and if you've listened to the show, I don't tend to watch reviews before I do my review. However, there were a couple because I just wanted to see if they would go the way I thought they would go, and they did. And it's a group that is really negative on these movies to a point where I don't know why they're so negative about these movies. And some of them I still like. I still like watching their channels because they make me laugh. If you can make me laugh, then I'll watch whatever. If it offends me, I'll just keep going because I'm laughing at something else. But some of them I've had to stop watching altogether because they were just horrible. They got very monotonous in what they're saying. It's sort of, they found this way to get listens and views that works by being negative. And kudos to them. A lot of them don't even have to work now. They get to do this all the time. I would love to do that, but I'm not going to be that type of person. I don't really give a shit what you all want me to say on this show. I'm going to say whatever the hell I want to, and I'm not going to go along with it. That's just the type of person I am. But I will address, I know I'm taking a little time on this, but there was things in their reviews that I watched where I was like, okay, come on, guys. Come on. Like, they talk about her being a girl boss, Yelena, Florence Pugh. She's a girl boss, a lot of girl boss. Oh, of course she is. She's a Black Widow. She's been trained. She knows how to do all of it. I mean, I will agree that when you see Florence Pugh is like 5'1" going through all of these guys, it's kind of silly. But you know what? It's a superhero movie. She's been trained, so I'm going to buy into it. Especially when you're having fun with it. Although, I did criticize that last Captain America movie, but that one lady, she was so damn tiny. Anyway, but that was one of them. There was something about the John Walker Captain America where they're like, oh, he's just the butt of the joke through the whole movie. And I kind of disagreed with that. He was at the beginning, but he also had his moment. He was kind of an asshole at the beginning, but like in an arrogant, cool kind of way where I was like, yeah, I like this character. Which says a lot about me. But, by the end of the movie, as I mentioned, he has an arc where he becomes likable and he becomes part of the team, and they're not making fun of him by the end of the movie. They're all part of this Thunderbolts team. So I was like, this is really bad movie criticism, if you ask me. And, hey, those guys, like I said, they make a lot of money doing all their stuff. But, yeah, I just wanted to mention some of these criticisms that get thrown around, I just kind of have to roll my eyes at this point. And I think, as much as I watch some of them on a regular basis, even I'm like, oh God, it's the same shit. That's why I watched them this time. I was like, oh God, let's see if this is going to go exactly the way I think it does. And it did. They all said the same. It's like a checkbox. They're like, okay, girl boss, making fun of men, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, get over it already. It's a fucking movie about stupid superheroes. Get over it already. But anyway, I just wanted to get on my soapbox and be a little controversial. So if I ever get to that point, you all can just let me know, and I'll ignore you because it's my show, and I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. But that brings us to the end of this episode. If you're still listening, I must have done something right. And again, if you could hit the subscribe and follow button, I'd appreciate it. Share the show with your friends. Share it on your social media. Find me on social media. I'm at Cinematic Traveler Pod on Instagram. That's the best way to get in touch with me. I'm on the other ones, but I don't really pay a lot of attention to that. Or I have my email address, thecinematictravelerpod@gmail.com. You can get in touch with me with that, or in the comments. Let me know how I'm doing on the show. I'd appreciate any feedback. Play the contest. And maybe next month you can pick the movie for me to watch and be in control of the episode. Now, I will be back next week with another review. I have no idea what film is coming out next week, so it'll be a surprise for you and me, but those are usually the best kind of episodes. Definitely come back and check that out. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen or watch my show. I appreciate you as an audience member. I tell everyone I know I've got the smartest and sexiest audience in all the podcast universe, and you don't even have to wear spandex. However, if you want to, you would rock that spandex. I don't know how you do it. You amaze me. You amaze me. Now, as you are traveling around on this blue and green ball, bouncing through the cosmos, I need you to do one thing for me. Go out there and do that voodoo that you do so well.
All right, show's over. I'm tired.